Okay, hello, welcome to Action Sportive Physiotherapy and Massage. This is an injury prevention video ready for the season of 2019-2020, and it's just showing you what you can and probably shouldn't do in the gym just to make you ready for the ski season to come. Okay, so first things first is you need to do a warm up in the gym. So you can do like the cross trainer, you can do the rowing machine, cycling machine, anything like that. Just 5 minutes on that, get your muscles all nicely warmed up, ready for the session to come. Here you've got Emily just starting with some strength work. So we're working on the glutes here. This exercise is called the clam, and she's got a resistance band just to make it slightly harder. So you've got the hips at about a 45-degree angle, the knees at a 90-degree angle, and you're just trying to float the knee up to the air and back down again. You should really feel it working in your glutes. This is just a variation of the exercise. So here you've got actually extended hips. There's no angle at the hips, but the legs are still at 90 degrees. This works the gluteus medius a bit more, which is really important when you're skiing, so this is a fab exercise to do. Now you've got the classic exercise of doing a squat. The most important thing to remember whilst you're doing a squat is to make sure that your knees don't go over your toes, and that when you get down into the deeper part of the squat, you're not rounding your hips over. So this is a lovely example of how to do a nice clean squat here. You can also make it harder by adding a band in, as Emily's about to do. You can do crab walks where you stay in a squat position and walk, or you can do box jumps going up into a squat there, as Emily is showing quite nicely. Here you've got the wall ball exercise where you stand to the side wall. As you can see, you have the ball between your knee and the wall. You need to make sure that you're not leaning too high far into the wall. You need to push away so you're keeping your weight on your leg that's actually on the floor. And as Emily's showing there, you just straighten and bend that knee, and you should feel it in your opposite buttocks. And this is a great exercise again for your gluteus medius. Really good on your balance work there. When you're doing this exercise, maybe try and aim for about 30 reps and then make it harder by increasing the sets. So as I'm showing now, the next exercise you can do is a lunge. This works a bit more on your balance, especially if you've got weights in your hands. It makes it a little bit harder, and it gets you used to being in a lower position, as you do tend to do when you're skiing. So make sure when you're doing the exercise again, your knees don't go over your toes, and maybe see if you can keep your knee off the floor when you're dipping down there, just to make it slightly harder. So don't forget about your upper back as well. You tend to forget about that a lot since you're very rounded when you're skiing. So here Emily is displaying some scapular retractions, we call them. So you're in 4-point kneeling. Imagine there's a rope in the middle of your spine, the top of your spine. It's pulling you up towards the ceiling, and then it's letting you just gently fall back down again. Really good exercise there. So now we're starting to focus on core and balance work. Great one is using the wobble boards. Stand on with one leg with your eyes closed, eyes open, catching a ball, anything like that. Trying to do some squats, some single leg squats there, and trying to aim for standing on it on one leg for about 2 minutes. Again, great for skiing, because when you're skiing, you have lots of external forces that you don't know what's going to hit you next. So this is really great because it works on your dynamic balance there. If you haven't got a wobble board to hand, don't worry, you can do something similar to this where you've got some single leg dips. Again, works really great on what you're doing when you're skiing, when you tend to be putting all your weight onto one leg and leaning forwards into it. Now it's important to remember that skiing isn't static, so doing some plyometric exercises and dynamic exercises such as travelling hops is important as well. So don't forget stretching is important as well, especially at the end of a session. So the first one you've got here is the knee to wall exercise. It's just where you put your toes to the wall and then you try and move them away from the wall, aim for about 10 centimetres, and then put your knee against the wall again with your heel lifting up, and hold that for about 15 seconds. You've got your pigeon pose here, which stretches out the piriformis and the glutes. Just make sure when you're doing this that your hips aren't dipping down. If they are, just put a block under your hip. So this is the hip flexor stretch. Stretching out your quads there. Just again make sure that your hips don't twist, so that your hips are facing forwards. Got a hamstring stretch there. Just try and remember not to round your back. And again, same thing again, just a variation of the pose. Try and hold it for about 15 seconds if you can. And finally, some nice relaxing stretches at the end. So this is called a spinal twist. So you are sitting in a log sitting position, and you cross your leg over one side, hooked it to you, and then twist around the other way. It's a nice stretch up your back. And this is again something similar where you're trying to stretch out your spine. Another spinal twist, but when you're actually in the supine position. Okay, so that's the end of the injury prevention video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please see the following details, and hopefully we'll see you this coming season.